man as Emmanuel, Anti-Pope John Paul II is specifically indicating that each man is God with us. It is quite obvious that Anti-Pope John Paul II preaches that every man is the crucified Christ, the Savior of the world, but there is one place in his encyclical Evangelium Vitae that is particularly interesting on this topic. Anti-Pope John Paul II Evangelium Vitae number 50.2, speaking of the darkness on Good Friday. But the glory of the cross is not overcome by this darkness. Rather, it shines forth ever more radiantly and brightly, and is revealed as the center, meaning, and goal of all history and of every human life. Here, Anti-Pope John Paul II says that the glory of the cross is revealed as the meaning of every human life. Keep this in mind as we read the next quote from Evangelium Vitae. Anti-Pope John Paul II Evangelium Vitae number 50.3. It is thus, at the moment of his greatest weakness, that the Son of God is revealed for who he is. On the cross his glory is made manifest. Here, Anti-Pope John Paul II tells us that by the glory of the cross, the Son of God is revealed for who he is. But he just told us one paragraph before this that the glory of the cross is the meaning of every human life. This means, by way of logical equation, that the Son of God equals the meaning of every human life. To illustrate this, we will look again at his words. The glory of the cross is the meaning of every human life, Evangelium Vitae 50.2. The glory of the cross reveals the Son of God, Evangelium Vitae 50.3. Conclusion, the Son of God is the meaning of every human life. Anti-Pope John Paul II preaches that man is indeed God. Anti-Pope John Paul II Ecclesia in America number 29. Prayer leads Christians little by little to acquire a contemplative view of reality, to contemplate God in every person. Anti-Pope John Paul II Homily August 10, 1985. Today, in consecrating your cathedral, we ardently desire that it become a true temple of God and man. This quotation proves that Anti-Pope John Paul II preaches the worship of man as God by calling for the transformation of the temple of God into a temple of God and man. Anti-Pope John Paul II Homily, August 9, 1980. The first and principal intention of every organization and every state, respect and love for man. Anti-Pope John Paul II Address, April 13, 1979. The conscience of all humanity